I used drugs for 24 years. I was a drug addict for an entire 24 years. I grew up, I went to school, I got married, I had kids, all under the influence of synthetic drugs. I actually have managed to remain sober since 2019. I went to rehab finally. Although I gained my sobriety, I lost my husband of 20 years. I have 6 children, 3 of which I wasn't able to repair those relationships. But the 3 that I do have, we are thriving. And now I'm about to share with you 5 ways that I support myself and stay sober. I not only managed to get off of drugs by using drug rehab and talk therapy after I got out, independent research, and leaning on my spirituality, coping skills, and every single thing that I could do, down to managing my diet because it directly affects your mental health. Anything that I could do to fix the negative behavioral patterns that cause me to do things like be a drug addict. I think what some people fail to understand is that when you use drugs, you're trying to cover up deeper mental and physical and spiritual issues. And so stopping the drugs is just the beginning of healing. You have to actually start facing yourself, your demons, your struggles, and just finally reconcile with them. Too many of us are running from our emotions, not learning how to process them, and we end up full of diseases and issues that really, once faced, can be dealt with. I'm going to share with you a few things that I had to do to make sure that I stayed sober. One, I cut everybody off. Everybody I've ever known outside of my kids, I just stopped talking to. Some of them, I didn't even give an explanation because it really wasn't worth it. My mind was made up. I didn't feel like explaining myself. I understood coming out of rehab that I could not go back to the same environments that I was in before because in order for me to stay sober, I was going to have to change every single aspect of my life. And that required solitude. Like, everything that I've been through in my past, it's a lot of trauma and it's a lot to deal with. And I need a quiet, carefully designed space to be able to face the trauma that's happened to me and deal with it so that I'm not passing on bad behavioral traits to my kids. And I just don't have the space or the mental capacity to deal with outside relationships. I don't want to fall victim to outside influences because I am so early in my sobriety. We're talking 2019, so that's 5 years. In sobriety, considering the fact that I am only 43, is not a long time. Like, that's not a long time. So I want to make sure that I'm protecting the environment that I built, and that means keeping everybody else away from it. So the first thing I did was cut everybody off. And to have great things, to accomplish great achievements, great sacrifices must be made. And in my case, personal relationships. That was one of them. The second thing that I did was remain celibate. This was not very hard for me. My ex-husband of 20 years, we had 6 children together. He actually died from an overdose almost exactly a year after we got a divorce. There was a lot that came with that relationship, and just dealing with that loss alone has been a lot to manage. So I really don't have a desire to start over. I don't have a desire to sleep around. I honestly feel like if I want spiritual protection from God, then I can't go around just sleeping with anyone and doing whatever I want. I feel like I need to protect myself and protect my family by not exposing us to outside influences. I have a young daughter. I'm just not interested in dating, and I just feel like the world is in a season of needing to heal itself. And I don't see a whole lot of very fruitful, positive, healthy relationships out here. And I would just rather focus my energy on healing myself and my family and forging a deeper connection with God and my ancestors before I step out and try to build anything with anyone else. I spent 20 years with someone who tried to control me and wanted to have dominion over every decision I made. Now I have the space to raise my kids the way I want to and to live my life freely and authentically, and I want to explore what that's like, and I want to build my own legacy. So I gave up sex. It's just another sacrifice so that I can experience actual power and self discipline. I feel like sex can be an addiction and escapism. So for someone like me who is recovering from addiction and recovering from avoiding dealing with my emotions, I don't want to escape into the arms of a man. I want to sit with myself, date myself, get to know myself, and deal with the stuff that's happened to me in my past. My inner child needs my attention. I feel like I'm doing myself and my family a disservice by putting any energy into a man. The third thing that I did was get a bunch of hobbies. When you take away something, you want to replace it. Just like when I went on my weight loss journey and I stopped drinking soda. I didn't just stop drinking soda, I started drinking seltzer water mixed with apple juice and cranberry juice so that there was a replacement. That is what makes transitioning off of things that you're trying to get off of a little bit easier. You want to wean off, you want to do a replacement situation. You don't always want to go cold turkey. I don't want to suffer. I want to change, but I don't want to suffer. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting a soft transition. It's kind of like wanting to die without pain. Part of processing my emotions is being able to transmute negative energy into positive energy. I need to take everything that's happened to me that was traumatic and shameful and upsetting and turn it into something beautiful and meaningful that can remind me that there is still hope and that everything I go through is a lesson. It's not here to destroy me. It's just an obstacle to make me stronger. Just like an athlete that's training. The track is not going to be easy. It's going to be daggone near treacherous so that you can be the best. So that's how I look at life. I no longer see life as something that's happening to me. I see life as something that's happening for me to make me stronger and to help me gain a different perspective. So I write, I make music, I dance, I like to grow things, and I like to paint. So the third thing that I had to do to stay sober and to support myself and to stay focused is to make sure that I have a creative outlet so that I can express myself, and it also helps me stay connected to nature and to the present. When I am creating things, it makes me feel alive. I get to track my evolution. Just like how I get to see my hair grow a little bit more every day, and I get to see my seedlings grow a little bit more every day, I get to observe my kids grow a little bit more every day. And every time I add a little bit more paint to my mural, I can see my evolution. And I correlate that with my own growth, and it gives me hope. Because there were times where I was so deep in my depression, like I didn't see any growth. I don't feel like I was growing. I was just stagnant and frozen. And that is a horrible place to be, and I never want to be there again. So these are practical things that I do every single day so that I can stay sane and focused and sober. The next thing that I do to stay sober is to stay active. Part of this is going outside, which, because of my bipolar brain, is a little challenging for me because I live in the city. I feel more comfortable around nature. I don't feel so comfortable around people. I'm a bit spiritually sensitive, and sometimes I can pick up on way more than I want to. So I find that I prefer to stay in the house, or if I do go outside, to not be around people. But I have to take care of business and I do have to go outside. And when I do, I feel more alive. That vitamin D that I get from the sun actually acts as an antidepressant. It helps my hair grow, helps me keep my skin clear, and it helps keep me in a good mood. So the morning is a good time to be active and to get all of that just nastiness off of you from the night before. Any doubt, any animosity that you built up towards yourself or others, any bad thoughts that people have thrown at you subconsciously, you can shake all that off by being very, very active in the morning. So one of the ways that I stay sober is to stay active. When I feel like I'm bored or I feel like I'm not being progressive, that's when I start to want to escape. When I recognize anything that feels like boredom or irritation, I know that's the perfect time to get up and move around and transmute that energy. Everything is energy. If you feel uncomfortable, don't ignore that. If you feel bored, don't ignore that. That is an opportunity for you to do something else that's more productive. Exercise is a major, major part of it. Your mind and your body are completely connected. And I didn't even realize that a lot of times depression can be caused because you have vitamin deficiencies. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize how vitamin deficient I was. I've had gray hair since high school. That is a sign of vitamin deficiency, and I didn't know that. I thought I was turning into a wizard. I thought it was cool. It's not cool. It's a problem. So I do like to stay active. And I have to admit, sometimes around my red moon, once a month, it totally throws me off. And I have a very heavy cycle the first 48 hours, and it throws me off of my consistency. So for a week and a half every month, I'm not very active. And then I have to kind of put myself into monk mode and just kick my own butt and get to going again. But hopefully, as I get older, I will not keep repeating that cycle, and I'll just be able to be more consistent throughout the month. I'm working on it. So the fourth thing that I do to stay sober is definitely to keep it moving all the time. It's good for my joints. I'm getting older. I need to take some vitamins. The very last thing that I do to support myself staying sober is to manage my diet. Now, I don't just mean what I eat. I mean what I take in, period. The energies that I'm around, what I watch on TV, it's all about triggers, right? Sometimes something you smell or see will trigger your trauma, and then you're going to want to self-soothe in the old ways. Well, I've learned new coping skills so that when I get triggered, I can breathe myself, walk myself, or pray myself out of how I feel. It's always about changing your frequency. If something brings you low, do something to bring you high. If you have a negative thought, counteract it with a higher frequency thought. That's all. You feel down, do whatever you need to do to make yourself feel high without using synthetics or putting your body in danger. So I have to do things like not drink caffeine or artificial sweeteners or sugars or simple carbs. These are things that actually cause me to get depressed. I ate some Pringles a few months ago, and when I tell you I fell into such a deep depression, I got a nasal infection after eating it. I didn't know that there was lactose in it, and I have serious food allergies. Like, I cannot have dairy products. I cannot have white wheat. There's so many things that I cannot have or my system will go haywire. And I really had to spend a lot of time observing myself and seeing how I reacted to certain things to figure that out. You can eat yourself into a depression. I don't do processed foods. I don't do fast foods. I don't do sugar-filled foods. So I have to eat basically a plant-based diet. The more green I eat, the happier I get. I can eat fresh fruit and it will really bring me out of a slump. I use fruit as an antidepressant. The only thing that I can't do to manage my mental health is use synthetic drugs. That's it. Anything else on the planet, I can do. I can do yoga. I can work out. I can eat healthy. I can use the sun. I can connect with nature. I can pray. I can meditate. I just cannot take antidepressants. I cannot use synthetic drugs. It just drives me haywire. So I have to use everything else at my disposal to keep my mental health up to par. So these are the 5 things that I do to stay sober. Have you ever tried to get sober? Are you sober now? How long have you been sober? Can you relate to any of the things that I do to keep myself sober and to support myself? Do you have a support system to help you through your sobriety? Let me know down in the comments. If you are interested in checking out my music, it's available on all music streaming platforms worldwide under my artist name, The Fury of Abyss. Thank you so much for spending time with me here in Fury World. Take care of your mental health. Take it easy on yourself. And remember, never stop learning more about how to support yourself. There's always a way out. There's always an answer, and you're never alone. I love you, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Peace.